Hello, and welcome to Keeper's Corner Podcast, where we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. With your hosts, as always, Matthew Sterling, Michelle Brooks, and Brandon Brooks. Let's go. Hello, welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner Podcast. You got Matt and Brandon here. Brandon, we're glad to have you back after dealing with your cold there. How you feeling, bud?
Alive. I have returned.
I know you sent me a little voice recording from 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh man, no, that's a no-go."
Yeah, no, I sent that specifically just to illustrate my point. Like, no.
Well, you are back, and that's good because that was a very depressing episode I put out talking to myself. It's really tough to reflect on things when you don't have someone to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, it's really hard to reflect on things without a mirror.
I mean, I could have just turned the camera on and looked at myself in the camera, but
you missed me. You know you did.
All right. Well, we're back to recap Utica's season here. And I think what was a overall good season for the team that took some steps forward. Unfortunately, it ended the way it did. Once again, in a mini game on the blue turf with a score of 2-1.
Yeah, it kind of brings up old memories, for the first inaugural season of Utica City, losing to Baltimore in basically the exact same fashion. It was definitely tough, but it felt the same as that first season. It just was like, it sucks, but what else could they necessarily have done? I'm sure we could all speculate. We could all be like, oh, they could have done this, that, this. Like, it was a hell of a, we'll call it the second half of the season because the first half wasn't that great. But I mean, the team, Everton, everybody turned it around in the second half of the season, really gave the league in general a run for their money. And it ended sooner than we wanted to. I mean, it does that for all but one team, really. It's always going to end early for every team other than the champion.
Yeah, and speaking of the champion, let's throw a quick congratulations to the Chihuahua Savage in there. Yes. Not only did they upset San Diego at Pechanga Arena, but they then took care of the Blast in 2 games and sent Baltimore packing.
Thank you. I mean, what? Listen, I'm not going to say that I wasn't rooting for them because, being a Utica fan, you don't really want to see Baltimore win. Even though I felt bad for 3 people on the Baltimore team. I felt bad specifically for them, but Baltimore as a whole, you have 10 championships that you flaunt in everyone's face all the time, even though you've been around for 20 years and the rest of us haven't. So it's good to see someone else win. Of course, since Utica showed up, I mean, Baltimore hasn't won a championship yet. Not that I'm attributing it to Utica, but it's mutually exclusive. But listen, they flaunt all these championships, but
since Syracuse moved to Utica, both teams have the exact same number of titles.
Yeah. Clean slate.
It's like being a Yankees fan, where I hear 27 rings from other fans. I'm like, okay, but what has the team done in the past 15 years?
What have you done for me lately?
We have standards and we're not living up to them.
And for those listening, yes, I did in fact do the finger snaps.
With the arm motion and everything. Brandon was briefly a sassy woman.
Sassy. Oh God, I broke him.
All right. So, well, we talk about how this year was better. Let's just cover a couple quick things. Last year, Utica missed the playoffs, so obviously making them is better.
Agreed.
Finished with 28 points last year. We finished with 36 this year. There's an improvement. The offense averaged half a goal more per game. The goal differential was 13 goals better. Our power play percentage was 45% compared to 23%, and the penalty kill remained the same at 64%.
Interesting. Stayed the same.
Yes.
I mean, so that actually makes sense. And here's why I say that. Last year, under, Coach Hall, we were definitely a more defensive team.
Yes.
So you would expect our penalty kill to be higher. Mm-hmm. Now, I attribute a lot of our defensive posture to the second half of the year, to the return of Darren Toby, the acquisition of the King, Steph. God, my brain stopped working for a minute.
The King, Juggernaut.
The Juggernaut.
I love that he responds to that name too.
Yes. I attribute a lot of that to those guys who came back, who came on board. It wasn't just them, but
no,
their presence on the field did seem to help. I mean, we saw that with the Gordy and Steph synergy that we saw, time and again, that kept the score down for the other team and and somehow we continued to win more games whenever they were on the field together, as you pointed out. So, I mean,
that second half of the season saw Utica go 9-2-1. Certainly one of the hottest teams in the league in the second half after a 4-8 start.
Literally beating everyone that had beaten us in the first half, with
that we
the
got a second
exception
chance against.
Yeah, but that we had a second chance against. I mean, we didn't obviously get to play against like St. Louis, but whoever we had a second chance against, we were able to beat. So let's go into the next season with whatever we did in the second half of this season.
Yeah, weirdly enough, Utica's defense gave up 153 goals last year. They also gave up 153 goals this year.
Really?
Yes.
That is creepy.
Mm-hmm. But the improvements were, we went 6-6 at home and 4-8 on the road versus, what was it this year? A 5-7 on the road. So small improvement, but a win's a win. And we defended our home turf going 8-3-1.
That is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like to give a little bit of credit to the people of the Odd for cheering our boys on.
Look, I mean, even Coach Giuliano of the Milwaukee Wave commented on how the crowd plays into it after beating Utica in the playoffs there.
Yep.
I would say Chihuahua and Utica probably have the biggest crowd advantage in the MASL. They're both small arenas, and the fans can get right on top of you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Baltimore has the smallest field in the league, but because of the way it's set up, they only have 2 of the 4 sets of bleachers, one end and one side, that are pulled out. Everyone else is above that in the bowl.
Yeah. So it's not as intimate of an experience.
Yes.
If you would.
The noise isn't quite as on top of you.
Yeah. Yep.
If you look at the standings for the season, Utica finished 10th overall in the league based on points.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to go wins, just simply wins and losses, 13-11 would tie Utica for 6th place in the league.
Not bad.
No.
Not bad at all.
No. I like the points because they reward you if you get to overtime. And I could see that. I'd almost rather see it go 2 points to the winner, no points to the loser. like they do in other, you get to overtime and it might go, like a 1-1. You get a draw, and outdoor you get a 1 point.
Yeah.
Each team, and you drop a point. Which is kind of what happens there. One team gets a point, one team gets 2. But it certainly rewarded a couple teams like Florida, who finished 12-12 and ended up with 5 more points than Utica because they went to overtime and lost a lot more than Utica did.
Yep. And that does, with this system, it makes a difference.
Yes. And, most of Utica's losses, I don't want to say most, but a lot of them were not close.
No, unfortunately.
Big loss early in the year down at Florida, a big loss down in Baltimore for the second time we played there. Mm-hmm. And the Mexico trip was just a disaster.
Yeah, the Mexico trip hurt all of us up here at home.
But we saw improvement. Huge credit has to go to Everton Moreira for stepping in, running with these young guys, and getting them up to speed as fast as he did.
Oh, yeah.
Nilton De Andrade was absolutely snubbed on the Newcomer of the Year nominations. He was second on the team with 22 points, and I don't care how many points per game Blas Perez had. He played in 9 games. That's not even half the season. He shouldn't qualify.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it should there should be some weight to that. When you've played more games, there's more data points.
23 out of 24 games versus 9 games.
Yeah.
Availability is the biggest talent that any player can have in any league.
Yep.
So if you're only available for, a third of the season, just over a third of the season, that says something.
It does. Absolutely.
And then obviously we have to give credit to Tommy Tanner, who made some midseason moves that addressed the issues that this team was facing. Mm-hmm. And they were a complete about face from what we saw with the midseason moves last year.
Last season felt more like panic.
Yes.
This season, the changes being made actually felt like made some semblance of sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if Toby doesn't get his visa cleared up, we still would have needed another defender.
Yep.
But going and getting Mijatovic, absolutely huge.
Keep him.
Yeah. I think he said he was going to go on vacation for a little while and then was going to talk contract. So hopefully he will be back. But, wanted a little bit of time to get the season out of his system and clear his mind. And I don't blame anyone for that.
Nope. It makes total sense.
Unfortunately, we saw Joey Tavernisi get sent to Florida, where he just did not perform to the level he was here in Utica. And then we saw Taylor Walter Bond come in, and he performed at a level that he hasn't played at in 5-6 years, and completely made me eat crow on that. I was like, on paper, it did not look like a good trade, but you got a guy who came in and in 11 games had 10 goals and 3 assists. Whereas in the 13 games that Joey was here, he had 10 goals and 3 assists.
Yeah, so in a shorter amount of time, he was able to perform at basically the exact same level that we had seen from Joey and that we would kind of expect from Joey. And, that's to be clear, that's not a discredit to Joey. Like, no, I would have kept Joey all day. I understand what was going on, I understand things behind the scenes, whatever. But
if you don't think that he believed in that locker room and wanted to be there, then why was he flying in to catch games in the playoffs and hanging out in the beer garden?
Yep. And hanging out with the guys at 72, after I think it was the very first game that he had come. I think it was against Florida when they came up here. I mean, you would think that he was still on the team based on how they all hung out after the game. Like there's no, no animosity or nothing there. So anybody who thinks otherwise is wrong. Like Joey was still very much part of this community up here.
Yeah. I mean, looking forward, I kind of mentioned a few names that might retire, might hang it up. I don't know. Bo not being at 72 after that playoff game really felt like that could be the last we see of him.
Yeah, I thought the same.
Just his absence spoke volumes more than words could. I mentioned that Toby, like, he's barely at 72 unless he kind of gets roped into it by the guys. And while I was waiting to wrap some things up with coach and staff about jerseys, which I'll talk about towards the end here, he came over and like thanked me for my support and gave me a hug. And Toby's not a people person from what I can tell. That felt very final to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time, he also wasn't really a 72 guy the first season either. So, I mean, it's really kind of par for the course. It's not necessarily saying like, he's just not going to be there. He's just not going to come back. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Or I guess it's really not devil's advocate. I'm just being hopeful. I'd love
to have him back to anchor that defense.
Yep.
I mean, the way he and Steph locked down Ian in the playoffs, to hold him goalless for 2 complete games until the mini game. Scoreless, yeah.
Like no points, nothing.
Just absolutely lockdown.
Yep.
Some rumors floated around about guys that could come in here. There's some of the names that were tossed around last year came up again as players that do want to come to Utica.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I don't want to speak on those until we hear anything official.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of like last year, it was like, oh, that guy's on my wish list. Oh, he wants to come to Utica. Hey, why is he going to this other team? And like, all right. Well, something happened in the negotiations.
I mean, I know that there's also some others that, we could potentially see some swaps. Because they're all speculation. We don't necessarily. I'm not going to talk to them, but I can think of at least one big name on Utica that I could see swapping with another kind of big name in the league as well. Mainly just for what do you want to call it? Not ease of living, but just what's the word I'm looking for?
Personal relationship things that like outside of soccer work stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, because it's total speculation, I'm not going to say one way or the other.
No. Gordy was a 1-year deal. Hopefully he comes back. Please. I know, this is like the 4th year in a row he's dealt with nagging injuries. So that could be a reason to hang it up.
But it would be great to have him and Steph back specifically. Get the dynamic duo back.
Yes. Nate sounded like from his Facebook post that he would be back.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, he seemed very like, hey, this ain't over.
Yeah, it felt very much like this is unfinished business, and I am not done because I got injured. I wasn't able to live up to my expectations down the stretch, and I want to come back and contribute and lead this team to a championship.
Yep.
Timmy, got to keep rehabbing that knee. Hopefully he'll be back at some point next season. If not, it sounds like he's got a spot on the bench no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
And then a ton of rookies that who knows what ends up with them. A lot of, around the league, we see a lot of one-year deals for rookies.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they do well, they could get poached somewhere else. A la Zach Reggett getting poached from St. Louis and going to Florida after his newcomer of the year campaign.
Yep.
But right now it's all just hopes and wishes and rumors in the wind.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be for a few months. I mean, we won't hear probably much of anything for quite a bit. And that's just how it rolls.
Yep. Well, Brandon, I don't know what else there is to say about this season. It was a success. Hopefully this team can build on it moving forward.
I want to say I was looking at the stat leaders.
Yes.
And saw that, well, first of all, little critique for MASL for next season. Assists by goalkeepers. Put it on there.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything historically even for like, hey, how many is the most?
Yeah, because that would have, that came into play. I mean, that was brought up multiple times because of Coughlin, because of how many assists he had as a goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
So it, could be a good stat to track, just saying. But what I was going to bring up was the fact that I was taking a look at the game-winning goals.
Mm-hmm.
And regular season, game-winning Gordy took it for Utica. We also took it for the playoffs as well. But it wasn't Gordy.
No, it was not.
No, it was Banano Christian Segura. He tied with Chihuahua for two game-winning goals. But for the little minute, the short amount of time that we were in the playoffs, basically 3.5 games, we'll call it. 3.5. I mean, that's awesome that Utica got the top spot and at least one category for both the regular season and the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the same person.
No, not at all.
It's because everybody locked down Gordy.
Yeah, playoff Christian looked like Segura when he came the first year.
Oh yeah, I want more of that.
Technical, clinical, just very selective on his shots.
Yep.
He shot 107 in the regular season, and then in the playoffs he shot 333.
Yeah, he had a great
4-game stretch there.
Season, or a great playoffs. I mean, he had a good season. He had a great playoff season.
Yeah, and then of course we were like, hey, put Steven Fernandez in. And he doesn't play the first game, and we're like, maybe we should put him in this time. And then he scores the one goal in the mini game.
Yep.
Okay, I feel redeemed.
Feel vindicated.
Yeah. I told you put Chino in.
No, I think I'm hoping over the summer to make it out to a Rock City Boom game. Because our boy Brian Wilkin is goalkeeping out there. Nice. I know Schindler plays for them as well. But I know specifically, I saw Brian was a starter. Actually, they traveled out near here this past weekend.
Yeah, they're doing a weird, or maybe that was Flower City. I can't remember. One of the two Rochester teams is doing a weird home and home kind of thing with Syracuse ASC or Syracuse AC, something like that.
Okay.
Where a couple of the games will be played in Rochester, and then half the games in Rochester, half the games in Syracuse.
Gotcha. All right.
Flower City Union. That might have been it. I can't remember which one it was. Either or.
Either or.
Yes, I know Flower City had a lot of Rochester guys on it, like Michael Cunningham. Okay, so they play in the NISA.
I know that, Rock City also has one of the guys from, at least one from the Indoor Lancers, Rosano. Anthony Rosano is on there, which, he was a menace in a good way when he was on that, when he was on the indoor team. But, he was even one that I would have enjoyed seeing in Utica personally. But I know he's on there. Like me and Michelle have been out there once, and it's a good time. Like, unfortunately, the weather when we went, it was it rained a little bit, but otherwise it was great. Actually, no, it didn't rain. It was just really cold. Mm-hmm. They just played at VVS, by the way. They just actually played at VVS High School, so very nearby.
Okay.
Against Invictus FC, and they won. That was this past weekend, actually. Then they play. Let's see. Their next home game is against Syracuse FC on the 7th. Not trying to, advertise for them or anything, but they're a fun team to watch.
Yeah, if you need some local talent that you want to watch and fill the gap until MASL returns in late November, early December. Oh,
so far away. It goes by so fast.
It is. But hey, the year's already like a third of the way over, so it'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, I know. Still.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I probably gotta message the league or something, because I still haven't gotten my code for fan of the game from that last game that Utica played.
Oh, I can
for the SI tickets thing.
I was gonna say I have a contact. I have a contact I could probably message.
Yeah, I can think of a couple people.
I could literally text them if you want. Just saying.
Yeah. Where's my money? Where's my money? I just want to use it to go watch Yankees games, because they're not overcharging like the resellers were for MASL games.
Well, enjoy that.
Yeah, I will.
Good.
I will. I can't wait to go sit in the bleachers in the middle of the summer, probably on an 85+ degree day in the beating sun. And be like, I did this because I like indoor soccer. We'll see how things line up next year, because we know we're getting Guadalajara.
Yep.
Rumor has it Las Vegas is well, I don't know if it was supposed to happen, but I think it was Shep Messing on a radio broadcast months ago let it slip that the Ronaldinho and Rob Stryer team is going to be located in Las Vegas and should start this year.
Yep.
Other rumors say that the East could be getting another team. There's potentially some interest in Mexico City getting a team, which cool that we're expanding into Mexico, but with all the visa issues for getting players there, that I don't know. hope maybe that'll get things cleared up eventually here.
Yeah. That's, it seems like the visas are always going to be tough because, we're not some big, we're not some big league. We're not the big leagues. They don't care as much about us. So it's always going to be an issue for teams. Maybe not every year, but.
Oh my. So you know how Baltimore was homeless this year, as their very tacky T-shirt said?
Yes.
That the homeless championship tour that they don't get to go on because they didn't win the championship.
Yep. Yeah.
One of their fans was like, "Well, can't wait till it happens to Utica next year because we have the women's ice hockey world championships coming to Utica during playoff time." Like, yeah, we'll also have knowledge about this in advance, kind of like your owner definitely did, because that was an annual event that they just were like, I don't know. Guess we're not going to play past the first week of the playoffs. Wouldn't want to have a backup plan in place.
Yeah, I would give the organization in Utica a lot more credit than that. That they already balance hockey and soccer and special events and things like that in the odd. I'm sure that they can figure it out, and they have plenty of time to do it.
I floated the idea, send it down to the Clinton Hockey Arena. You already have the same dimensions. You just bring in the false wall, the hard rubber that you lay down underneath the turf, and the turf. Load that on a few trucks, ship it down there. It only sits 2,000, but if you're only doing that for a round or two of the playoffs, and you're going to get the 2,000 rowdiest Utica fans in there in an even smaller venue, good luck. Anyone that has to come to town.
Push comes to shove, there is the Nexus Center. You can't fit that
It sounds like
fans.
Nexus is going to get used for that hockey tournament a lot.
Yeah. But, I'm just saying, like, push comes to shove, if you don't have any other arena availability, you might not be able to fit that very many fans, but you could still play it in Utica. You could still have a very select few of fans, get the rowdiest. Get the rowdiest bunch.
That's why I suggested the Clinton Hockey Arena out there, because it's like, it's 10 miles further.
Nexus Center.
Depending on the direction you're. Well, yeah, but like that one has seats.
I know, but I'm just saying it's right there.
You just want Nexus Center because it's got a bar.
I've never been in there. Okay? I have never been inside the Nexus Center, so you shush.
But you want to check it out.
Maybe. What of it?
If that's not a recruiting tool, we have this facility that's been open for a year, and it's state of the top of the line. You want to come play and train at the same arena, basically.
We got beer.
Utica Club. All right, I think that's enough rambling for us.
Yeah, we've gone off this completely gone off the rails. This is not a podcast about. I don't even know what are we doing again?
I don't know.
I know what we're doing.
Talking Pokemon cards.
Listen, it's gonna be the last time I can do it for a while. So
no, you can sit there and plug in your headphones and press it all you want. No one's gonna stop you all summer long. But
no one else
will hear it.
That's the point. All right, take us home.
All right. Well, I guess I have a quick update on the jerseys that we're selling or sold.
Yes.
We did pretty well. Got some pretty good prices. I gave it a week for everyone to pay. I still have some accounts that have not paid. Please square up with me because I placed the order on Monday. Paid out of my pocket to get it covered. And if you don't pay, I will just hold on to those. And then we'll be like, hey, here's a random jersey giveaway. Might not be the name you wanted on it, but might not be a size that works, but who wants it?
We got a jersey. Who wants it?
But hopefully they'll be here in the next couple of weeks, and then I can get them dispersed.
You gotta call the people out specifically who haven't paid yet.
Do that. remember them off the top of my head. I don't feel like bringing up the Excel spreadsheet.
Obviously kidding. That's mean.
Yes. Coach.
All right. Now you're just poking the bear.
Now there were like 5 or 6 that didn't square up. So, that is what it is. We've got probably no new episodes until closer to next season, unless we get like a surprise emergency one,
or a fun one that just pops up out of nowhere. But
yeah,
the off-season hiatus, it always comes.
Mm-hmm. I say I want to do things, then I spend like the entire summer outside or at work.
You go outside?
Sometimes. I mean, that's where I was on vacation. I was outside.
Isn't it scary out there?
Yeah, there were like wild horses.
I don't know this outside thing. I stay indoors.
There's stingrays. Wow.
Silence.
Yeah. No, my brain was singing SpongeBob's indoor song from when he decided to lock himself in his house forever.
Wow. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hive mind. Yep. That's where I went. Oh, that's embarrassing. Anyway.
I think that's everything there is to say.
And more.
Yeah. Hopefully next year we can have a better start to the season, get some home field advantage all through the playoffs that don't come down to arena availability.
Yes.
Bring the Ron Newman Cup to Central New York. Celebrate ecstatically when that happens, because Utica would throw a parade. You know it.
Oh, God, yeah. No question. No question there.
It'll be 45 degrees, windy, drizzle, and if Gordy's back, he will be on the back of that truck with his shirt off celebrating. Till then, you guys know where to find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for being with us this season. Thank you for supporting the team alongside of us. Until next time, whenever that may be, I'm Matt.
I'm Brandon.
Thanks for listening.
Dogs!
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to us so you never miss an episode. If that podcast app also has reviews, be sure to leave us 5 stars to let us know how we're doing and reach a larger audience. It really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Keeper Corners Pod. And you can always find us there talking UCFC soccer. Thanks again for the support. It's truly appreciated. One last thing. Go Utica!